Hello, good friends. A number of you had asked me for information about where I come from, what's my background like, and I've decided to make a series of videos on that topic. I've entitled it The Most Privileged Man Alive, because I think that's me. I've been greatly privileged in this life. I'm going to start by talking about this picture. Some of you already put in your guesses as to where it is, and a number of you got it right on. This is the place where I was born. This is a view of the valley of Caripe, looking towards Tereseng in northeastern Venezuela, the state of Monagas. The viewpoint of this painting is very close to the place where, at a very early age, I was born. I was born right smack at the half-century mark in the early days of January 1950. I'm the third of 9 children, and my mother painted this picture about 1960, so I was about 10 or pushing 11 at the time. And I reckon that she left the house to go paint so that she didn't go crazy with all the 8 kids of us that were there by then. But be that as it may, this picture has a long history, and after many adventures, it's come to me and it's hanging on the wall of my office, and it helps remind me of my roots. If you get nothing else from looking at this picture, you can tell that's a beautiful part of the world, and Caripe is a beautiful part of the world. I'd like to talk about some of the mountains that were around. I have loved mountains all my life, and one of the ones that I know the best was the wedding cake mountain. Every time we came out of the front door of the house, there was the wedding cake right in front of us. You can see why we call it the wedding cake. It looks a bit like a wedding cake with about 4 layers on it. One of the fond memories I have of the place is that when we were teenagers, we used to just run up to the top and do that several times a month. I think now if I were to try, I wouldn't get very far running, but back in that day, we had a lot of fun doing it. The kid you see sitting on the tractor there in front of everything is my older brother, Dan. So assuming he was about 2 years old, I would have been pushing 1 at the time that the picture was taken. As you can see, Dan was handling machinery from an early age. Another mountain that we could see easily from Las Delicias, which is the place I was born, was called El Peru. It's on the south side of the Caripe Valley. It has a shape sort of like a pyramid, and my guess is that somebody was thinking of Peru and of the ruins from the Incas and other indigenous civilizations, and that's why they named it, but that's just my guess. That's another mountain that we would climb every once in a while. We knew it well, and I loved it. The painting was done by Miss Lilia Bascom. She was an amazing woman, and you can see the big house that was the main building at Las Delicias for much of my childhood. In the next picture, you can see the Caripe Valley with the town of Caripe in it, and the mountain to the left is El Peru. To the right of that picture, there was one peak that I remember for its clever name. It was called the Nariz de Tepedino, which means Tepedino's nose. There was apparently a politician in Caripe, I think he was the mayor for a time or so, with that name, and I reckon he had a big nose because that's what the Nariz de Tepedino looks like when you see it from the side. Another mountain that we loved was the Cerro Negro. That was the highest mountain in the area. There's another mountain, Cerro Turumiquire, that's about 200-300 feet higher, but it's more of a ways away. Cerro Negro was not far from us, and it is 8,000 feet high, more or less. And we would climb it also. It's an impressive mountain. The most famous natural wonder in the Caripe area is the Cueva del Guacaro, and it's named after the guacharos, which are a nocturnal bird that lives in the cave and in a number of caves around South America. But they were first described for the Western world at the Cueva del Guacaro, right next to Caripe. And there are thousands and thousands of them that live in the Cueva del Guacaro. They, as I said, are nocturnal. They hate the light. If you go into their cave carrying a lantern, they will squawk and make noises like you wouldn't believe. They have some of the best eyes for seeing in the dark. My understanding is that they have the greatest concentration of rod cells for picking up the least bit of light. They have more of those than any other bird, and in fact than any other terrestrial vertebrate. So they are quite amazing birds. But even though they have such great eyesight for seeing in very dim places, they also navigate by echolocation, much like bats do. But the guacharos do it with a sound that we humans can hear. And it's kind of a clicking sound that's real loud, like that sort of. And if you walk into their cave, you can hear that, and you can also hear them just squawking at you if you are carrying a light, because they hate the light. The cave is pretty big, 10 or 15 kilometers long apparently. The doctor in Caripe, who was a good friend of my parents, was a member of a group that used to go in there, and they'd take days at a time, traveling back as far as they could go, getting around all the natural obstacles, and then coming back out. The cave was described by Alexander von Humboldt in 1799. It was almost the first place that he went when he set foot in South America. He went to Caripe, and then he was shown the cave, and he gave them their scientific name and described them for Europe to know about it. The cave is Venezuela's first national park, and it well deserves the worldwide fame that it has had. So that's the physical environment that I grew up in. It's a very beautiful area. It's a very fruitful area. I will make another video sometime about the fruits and the food that we were able to eat there. But it was a great place to grow up, and it's one of the reasons that I feel like I'm among the most privileged people on earth.